take a look at absolute performance systems. In absolute systems, raters provide evaluation of an employee's performance without making direct reference to other employees. It's the simplest absolute system in which a rater writes an essay describing each employee's strengths and weaknesses and makes suggestions for improvement. One advantage of the essay system is that raters have the potential to provide detailed feedback to employees regarding their performance, but essays are almost totally unstructured, and some raters may choose to be more detailed than others. However, some raters may be better at writing essays than others. Given this variability, comparisons across individuals, groups, or units are virtually impossible because essays written by different raters. Finally, essays do not provide any quantitative information, making it difficult to use them in some personnel decisions like the allocations of rewards. A second type of absolute system involves a behavior checklist, which consists of a form listing behavioral statements that are indicators of various components to be measured. The rater's task is to indicate or check statements that describe the employee being rated. When this type of measurement system is in place, raters are not so much evaluators as they are reporters of employee behavior. Because it's likely that all behaviors rated are present to some extent, behavior checklists usually include a description of the behavior, followed by several response categories such as always, very often, fairly often, occasionally, and never. The rater simply checks the response category she feels best describes the employee. Each response category is weighted, for example, from 1 never to 5 always, if the statement describes desirable behavior such as arriving to work on time. Then, the overall score for each employee is computed by adding the weights of the responses that were checked for each item. How do we select response categories for behavior checklist scales? Often, this decision is fairly arbitrary, and equal interviews between scale points are simply assumed. Behavior checklists are easy to use and understand, but detailed and useful feedback is difficult to extract from the numerical rating provided. Overall, however, the practical advantage of checklists probably account for their current use. Every job includes some critical behaviors that make a critical difference between doing a job effectively and doing it ineffectively. The recorded critical incidents provide a starting point for assessing performance. When critical incidents are collected, this measurement method allows raters to focus on actual job behavior rather than on vaguely defined traits. But collecting critical incidents is very time consuming and can be difficult to summarize. A second variation of the critical incidents technique is the approach adopted in the performance management system implemented by the city of Irving, Texas. First, the city identified core competencies and classified them as core values, skill group competencies, or performance essentials. Then, the team in charge of implementing the system wrote dozens of examples of different levels of performance in each competency, from ineffective to highly effective. In other words, this team was in charge of compiling critical incidents illustrating various performance levels for each competency. Then managers used this list by simply circling the behavior that best described the employees in the work unit. A third variation of the critical incident technique is the use of behaviorally anchored rating scales known as bars, which are described next as one of several types of graphic rating scales. The aim of a graphic rating scale is to ensure that the response categories, ratings of behavior, are clearly defined, that interpretation of the rating by an outside party is clear, and that the rater and employee understand the rating. Several types of methods are available for assessing performance. These methods differ in terms of practicality and usefulness. Practicality and usefulness are key considerations in choosing one type of measurement procedure over another. But there are additional, contextual issues that also determine choices regarding the performance measurement approach.